right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It's Sarah at Carnivore.Yogi. I'm really excited about my guest today. I actually saw her on her channel do an interview with Tristan with Primal Edge Health, and I will link that below this video because it's what I saw, and I was absolutely glued to this interview because this woman was like speaking to me, speaking to my heart. Her story is very compelling. And I also met you through Emily, who I interviewed on the show, who I'll link that also below. We'll talk a little bit more about that whole Emily connection because it's very relevant to this discussion. But I want to introduce you guys to Neeti. She's amazing. So,
Hello.
yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself before I start asking you questions.
About myself?
Like, where do I start?
I know. Let's see. Well, I am the catalyst working to reestablish the regenerative small family farm food system. And I'm doing that because we had a daughter who was diagnosed with esthesioneuroblastoma in 2007. And even though we were able to stop her cancer and we learned how to use food as medicine to heal cancer, she was structurally damaged to the degree where she was basically terminal upon presentation. But I wrote all about it in detail in my book.
Which I will definitely link below. Yes.
Yeah, because I don't really want to talk about her story because it's just honestly too emotional for me to discuss. But I did just pour it all out in here for anybody who wants to know that. And that's the first third of the book. And the rest of the book is about, how to not have to go through human torture therapy.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that, and she does talk about it a lot, you guys, in her interview she did with Tristan. And it strikes you as a parent, just right in the heart. It's insane that you would lose a child that young. But what you've done with her legacy with this is nothing short of amazing to me, which is why I really wanted to bring you here. Because this is a topic that gets thrown around a lot, especially in the carnivore community. It doesn't matter where you source your meat. It's all the same. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And there's a lot of problems that I see just as not even the level that Neeti is at. Nowhere near. Like I'm I'm still pinching my fingers to like huge. I mean, but I see a lot of problems with that dialogue all across the board. So that's what I really want to bring her here to discuss today, especially since there's a whole thing about people talking about a food shortage right now, which is, I know we could talk about that for hours, but I want to discuss that with her today. So you guys tune in and watch, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So let's kind of get right to it. So you just explained, the catalyst for you starting this type of work. So you've been doing this for almost a decade. Is that correct?
Since 2009, so 11 years.
11 years, yeah. And so you basically had this unimaginable situation with your daughter, and you decided, what I heard you say with the interview with Tristan is you're like, I'm going to get all this food out of the house. You started how did you come to that conclusion that the food was such a big player in what happened with her and with so many other children and people right now? How did you draw that conclusion?
So I come from a family of doctors from India. I mean, we're from India. I was born and raised here, so I'm first generation born in the States. I was born in Niagara Falls, New York, and I grew up in North Carolina. So we moved to North Carolina when I was just a year old. So I really can't say that I'm from New York. Okay. I'm a Carolina girl. I'm a Carolina girl. And so we my grandfather, my mother's father, was a renowned homeopathic physician when he was living in India. And I have an entire family of surgeons and like both holistic and allopathic physicians in our family. Okay. And so we've always been raised with this thing that, you know, food is medicine. And that anything that we're having to combat with health or whatever is just obviously related to what you're eating. And I guess it's never been like, I would never play with food. You know, you see these people like kind of do this biohack kind of thing or whatever. And I would never do that because it seems so dangerous to me, because I think that it is medicine, right? Like you don't overdo anything or underdo anything, because food is medicinal. And for a long time, I felt that way. I would have argued, you know, back then when we first started figuring these things out, you know, about how to manage the cancer. Mm-hmm. I would have argued that just one thing, whether it be vegan or carnivore, as we have things standing today, I would have never thought that that was going to work. Like it would have to be a balance, because it needs to be a balance. You know, that's what I would have thought.
Like the doctors are always saying, have a balanced diet. That's what everyone says. Yeah.
Well, you think you need these plants for some reason. And what I know for sure is that, you know, yes, herbs are medicinal, minerals, you know, and all of these, you know, vitamins and minerals and things. But we also have to be able to digest those things for us to be able to absorb and access those things. I mean, I guess that's getting off the subject here. Let's see. Back to where I was. Why did I think that it was the food? Well, I would have always thought it had something to do with the food first. I would have always been trying to look at food and environment, because that's my natural response to us not being well. I would have been trying to figure out what is it that's happening. And then, of course, it's very amazing to me that I arrive at Duke, and the first thing they say to me is, this has nothing to do with anything that you eat or your environment.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, and they actually gave me a book that said that I wish that I would have kept, but in my rage after Meena died, I threw away a whole bunch of stuff. And unfortunately, I threw that book away, and I don't even know how to get another copy of this book, which I wish that I had just for the proof of it. But
they actually give you a book like this of like, hey, you're in this.
Welcome to cancer.
And
I got a canvas bag, Sarah. I mean, right today, 11 years later, I wish that I had this bag. But you know, when she died, I was
you're grieving, you're devastated.
Yeah, I was so mad. I literally threw away. I can't tell you all the stuff I threw away. It was so crazy.
I can only imagine.
But like, I threw away anything that had to do with her cancer reminders. You know what I mean? So that bag and that book were tossed, and now I'm like, crap, I really need to be able to show people that these lunatics gave me this book. You know,
that's what I think the medical establishment just does that. You know, I was told the same thing when Alexis was diagnosed with autism. It has nothing to do with anything environmental, nothing to do with food, nothing to do with, you know, anything other than just genetics. You know,
bad luck. Were you told bad luck?
Yeah.
They told me I had bad luck.
Yep. Feels that way. Certainly feels that way. And you can go straight into your emotions and just let emotion take over and never get to logic, which is what you did, which is why I'm like, yes, yes. Thank God you were able to get some logic in there.
It was really hard. It was very hard because it went against all the orthodoxy.
Yeah.
Because now I had to stand up against all the institutions. And, you know, there's the medical mafia. There is, you know, the poisonous food system. So there's centralized food, there's centralized medicine, there's centralized education, you know, which I don't have enough of because I'm just a stupid mom. And, you know, I don't have a degree in science. or
Right.
anything, like any sciencey degree that would give me the power to be the knower of these things, because I can't know anything unless I have a degree.
Right. That's a whole other topic. I mean, this is my big problem with, the community as a whole, with any kind of community, is like you have these people who are doctors and they sit there and they cite studies all day. They cite studies. We don't know who conducted the studies. We don't know who the studies were done on. We don't know if they're epidemiology. We don't know if they're causation. We don't know any of this. And all they do
Doesn't
is
matter. I
right.
mean, who cares?
But
My thing is
one-on-one with people. This is my whole thing. You're not working one-on-one with people. So sure, I can tell you I'm having a problem, and you can say, well, this study basically says you're full.
I think it might be in your head, Sarah. Here, have some pills. Let's just
Right. Here's some antidepressants, some anti-anxiety meds to deal with the fact that you're eating a tub of ice cream per day, and maybe that could be causing some some issues for you there. But yeah, it's like, I get you. I totally get you. And I feel like there are so many people out there like you. I have another close friend of mine who has worked with over 3,000 people over 12 years, but people shove her under the rug constantly and devalue
what could she know? What could she possibly know?
Right. After you work with 3,000 people for 12 years, like but I'd rather listen to a doctor over here who can tell me the studies.
Well, they haven't even done studies on some stuff, Sarah. They only show you what they want you to see, which is convenient.
Right.
I mean, okay, so what I say, Sarah, is that, okay, first of all, I guess I should pretense whatever I'm going to say with Joel Salatin wrote my preface. I mean, Joel Salatin is, he's the lunatic farmer who, he's obviously a lunatic. Because who would otherwise be farming? It's so dumb. And but his entire mission is to have America recognize farmers as white collar, because I don't know, they just only produce all our food. So it's not like they're important or anything.
Right.
But he says, when he says that I offend people, he's like, Neethi offends people. She really offends people. And he says, but her force of heart and her force of sacredness shine through. Even the most defensive naysayer can't walk away from Neethi's story unmoved. You either agree or at least partially in her conclusions. Like, you either have to agree with me partially in my conclusions, or you'd say that I'm a crackpot. And if you say that I'm a crackpot, then go to the back third of the book and start reading from the witnesses. Want to change your mind. So Let me be very, very clear. I don't care if you never do anything I say, because I don't care. I honestly don't care. I don't need, only corporatocracy, only corporations want you to follow them, want you to subscribe. They're selling you something. Right. I'm trying to warn you how to not kill your child. Right. If you don't want to take the warning, I don't care. Right. I just don't. I mean, that's the problem, Sarah. Yeah. They think that we need them to believe us, or that we need them we want them to believe us. I don't need you to believe me. I don't need you to follow me. I don't need you to subscribe to me. I don't need you to, if you want to know truth, then subscribe to me, because I will blaringly give you all the truths. And if you don't want to believe them, I don't care, because my kid is dead. Okay. She's already dead. I already messed it all up. Okay. I'm trying to not kill the other two. And that is literally all. Okay. Right. And as for the rest of it, if you don't want to listen to what I have to say, touch the stove, please, because you should totally have an experience so that you can understand that this is real. And I'm going to say, all I'm ever doing, people, is reminding you, because all of you are apparently too young to know this or something, and the older people have been watching the Today Show and the Good Morning America for too long, and they've forgotten that science is the study of nature.
Science is not settled. That's the thing.
None of the science is settled. Science is the study of nature. There is absolutely no science that you can present me with that will ever change my mind. There's
Right.
none. Because the only thing I believe in is the universal laws, like gravity.
Yep.
It's solid. Like, I love gravity, Sarah. I love it. I love it because it never gets squirrely on me. I
Right.
always know when I go to the edge of a cliff, I'm going to go down. It didn't change today. It's the same as yesterday, the
Exactly.
same as tomorrow, the same as always. I'm going to go to the edge of the cliff. I'm going to have to be careful not to fall down. That is all.
Right. Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
consistent. It's solid.
Yeah.
It is law. And
Right.
that is how nature is. And that is what I teach. I teach you everything that I talk about in this book is based on the laws of nature. And if you don't believe in the laws of nature, I don't care. I just really don't. And you don't need to read my book to figure out the laws of nature.
Right.
Go find a farmer who knows how to honor the law. But all of them don't know how to do that, because if they were institutionalized, like they went to NC State University or any of these, ag universities, any of them, then they were taught lies. They were called biogen, biotech, eugenics, whatever, all of that stuff. If it requires effort, a machine, or a pharmaceutical, or a petrochemical, it is fake. It is not real. It will never be real. It has nothing to offer you. And, I'm kind of a pain in the ass, because I'm going to tell you, get out of the grocery store. Get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Because I just want you to go through a lot of struggle. No. I want you to get out of the grocery store, because everything there is a lie. And if it's really easy to get, if it's just going to arrive at your door, it's probably a lie.
Yeah.
Unless you paid $1 million for it to get to your door.
Right.
Because real food costs money to arrive at your door alive and not dead.
Yep.
So.
Well, let's jump into kind of how we connected here. So, Emily, who is on YouTube, and I've interviewed her twice now, basically recovered from, or put her MS and her bipolar into remission. And she did this with grocery store, or C.A.F.O meat. I didn't even know that term until that came up. And she essentially had a relapse. It was after she had bought some really cheap ribeye, I think from like Walmart, or it was definitely C.A.F.O meat.
Yeah.
And thought that her bipolar and MS had come back. You were able to swoop in as a friend and help her connect with a local farmer, to vet a farmer to find proper meat, essentially. And now she's doing great again. And she was able to go, put everything back in remission. And it was fine.
Within days, within moments.
Exactly. And that was like, when I saw that story, when I talked with her, I was like, damn. Because again, we're being told it doesn't matter. You can get your stuff at the grocery store and it's going to be just as good. And, and I see some stories of people who are getting better because they've taken all the grains and processed stuff out of their food. But for people, what are your thoughts on that? You can take that and run with it wherever you like. But yeah.
Okay, so I will start with C.A.F.O, Confined Animal Feeding Operations. The problem with the C.A.F.Os is not that they're feeding the cows the grain, as much as it is that they're feeding them GMO grain. It's genetically modified soy and corn. Let's start with that, which is a chemical. They're chemically doused grains, okay? Which means that the thing that you're eating is eating chemically doused grains. And I don't care that they were on grass for the first 12 months of their life, because they still, if you were to eat grass-finished beef that was legit grass-finished beef, then it would actually be raised out for 3 years. It wouldn't be something that's ready for you to harvest at 12 and 18 months. And all the meat in the stores are 12 and 18 months, whether it's grass-fed, whether it's grain-finished. So when people say that they don't like grass-fed, they've never actually had regenerative meat.
Yeah.
If they've actually had something truly regenerative, it's 3 years old. And so you haven't had that.
Right.
Also, I think it's very interesting that the USDA tells the processors that if the creature is more than 30 months old, which I need it to be 36 or older for it to be really tasting good, then they're going to waste the spine and throw it away because they know that it'll taste good after that. And they know it'll be amazing, and they know it'll be fabulous and whatever. And they say that it's because they do that so you can't possibly suffer from mad cow disease, which only happens when you abuse or mistreat a creature. It's not an age thing. It's not because they're 30 months or older you're going to get mad cow. And logically speaking, why does nobody say, oh, you mean they get mad cow after 30 months? Is that what happens? Like, no one has ever thought to themselves, oh, when a cow is more than 30 months old, they have mad cow, which is okay for them to be used for being a bull or a mama cow. Nobody cares if they're mamas when they're over 30 months, because you're not just killing off like your good, strong bulls or good mamas.
Right.
You're just only doing that. You're only wasting that meat on the meat animals. I want every carnivore out there who values beef to go to whoever they can find in power and say, what the hell? Are you saying that every beef over 30 months old has mad cow? That's when they develop mad cow disease.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to research mad cow your own way, however you want to do it. And then I want you to tell them to convince you. I would say, I like that guy. Who's that guy that shows up on college campuses with the table and he's like,
Oh, yeah.
Whatever his name is, he's funny as hell. Who's like, convince me, like change my mind.
Right.
He's at the table to change my mind. Okay, so change my mind that I do not believe that cows have mad cow disease just because they're more than 30 months old, as evidenced by the many creatures that we processed and eaten and enjoyed. Okay, so that's my proof and my evidence. Change my mind. Change my mind that all of those creatures have mad cow disease, and therefore we must throw away and waste that meat. Right. And why are all of the beef producers, all these ranchers who are, by the way, not stupid, okay, they're brilliant geniuses. So all y'all ranchers out there, I want you to change my mind. Is that what you know to be true in all the years you guys been ranching? Are you telling me that all the creatures that are over 30 months have mad cow disease? And if so, then why are they allowed to be mamas and daddies?
Right.
I just really want to know, because it's inconsistent. And USDA, FDA, y'all are full of it. Because if you're going to say that they can birth babies, they can be mamas and, daddies, but they can't be eaten.
Right.
What are you talking about? Like, this makes no sense.
Exactly.
It makes no sense. That means that their babies are not unwell. I mean, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
But I'm just a dumb mom, Sarah. I don't really know anything. I mean,
yeah, I gotcha.
It's the things, right, that make you go, So there's that. Okay. With what I just told you, I mean, that's just one little bitty piece.
Right.
Okay? So what else is wrong with C.A.F.O? Well, their life really isn't that bad, people say. It's not like you don't have to stand there and whip them, okay, for their life to be bad.
Right.
How about they're standing in houses, okay, or on dirt? Oh, they're not in houses, Nikki. They're too big. They're outside. Okay, well, they're out on dirt. They're not on grass. They're not on pasture. That's hot. It's uncomfortable. It's not cool. It's not cool. It's not nice. It is do you understand stagnation? Do you know what happens in a stagnant environment? Oh, maybe that's why they have to use antibiotics on those creatures.
Right.
I mean, come on. And it's not about fattening them on the grain. That's the problem. That is not the problem. The problem is that you have them on dirt, on antibiotics, and just because you wait for the withdrawal period, you give them antibiotics so that they can, look, the other rule, Sarah, is that they have to be able to walk into the processing facility. USDA standards, because, you know, that standard means that that creature is amazing because it can walk in by itself. So it has enough life force to walk in, okay? So barely, it could be basically unconscious. It could still be in kidney and renal failure, which it is, okay? It is. Why do you not find liver all over the grocery store? Why is liver unpopular now? Why is there no bone-in meat anymore? When I was growing up, there wasn't going.
I would never buy grocery store liver. I wouldn't touch it with a 10.
Okay, well, why would you eat the meat? What's the difference?
Well, I don't.
But I'm just saying, like, I just am saying you can't say that you're not going to eat one part of it and you're going to eat the other part. Who cares? It's the same creature, okay? So I don't get it. Like when someone says, I mean, sometimes I want people to just listen to what they're saying because people do say this all the time. And well, I just don't like liver. Okay, no, that's not even what this is about.
No,
you don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. Right. And the other thing is you can't buy bones, and they don't have anything with bones in it. Mm-mm. And why can't you eat anything with bones? Because your teeth hurt. Because people tell me that. Do they say that to you, Sarah? People say I can't eat it with the bone in it because it like hurts my mouth. It hurts my teeth.
Gosh, yeah, that's not normal.
Or what about the babies who try to walk and they just break their legs, Sarah? Mm-mm. And they're in casts. I mean, I call that rickets. Why can a pediatrician not know that?
Right, exactly.
Okay, sorry, that's off topic. But back to the C.A.F.O.
Yes.
They are outside. They're in the sun. Okay, let's give them shade. Pretend like they have shade because don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I don't know anything. I've never like driven by one or anything. I mean, you can smell them for miles. People talk about how they're, you know, isn't this what the vegans are all mad about? They're actually I am with the vegans on the anti-C.A.F.O. Okay, right. I am. We're on the same page.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same.
Yeah, it's the only thing I agree with them about. Literally the only, because I also believe in human rights. I don't care about the animal rights more than the human rights because I'm a human. And guess what? Lions care about lions, and tigers care about tigers more than you, and elephants care about elephants more than you. That's just the way it is. So I'm not going to apologize that I care about human rights more than animal rights. Right. I care about human rights more than animal rights. And also, we're human animals. We're animals that are embedded in nature. And yes, because we're animals embedded in nature, if a virus affects an animal, it affects us. It affects the soil. It affects the air. It affects everything that's living. And guess what? We're alive.
Yep.
Are you alive?
No.
I mean, I'm not going to teach my children to fear life or fear nature because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I'm not going to try to disinfect my life. And I'm not going to disinfect my kids. And I'm not going to disinfect my air because I'm alive and I want my air to be alive and I want everything around me to be alive.
Yes.
Okay. And the water. I want my water to be alive.
Yeah.
Did you know water has life? We could do a whole show about that.
We could. Yes, I did.
You're a yogi.
Yes.
You know?
100%. Yes.
You know I'm Indian, guys, so me and her already had the yogi master conversation.
We're going to have a whole other separate conversation about that, so definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Okay, so did I cover C.A.F.O, everything else? Okay, so they're medicated because they're sick, because they're in kidney and renal failure. Has not much to do about the grain, except the grain is also there chemically sensitizing the meat. So if you're eating plant material that has been sprayed to death because it's a GMO.
Yes.
Whether you believe GMOs, you don't believe GMOs, I don't care. I mean, you don't believe in God and nature and air, okay? So whatever you believe in, we don't really care. The truth of the matter is that when you eat things that are man manipulated, when there's interference with nature, then that causes imbalance. And when you have imbalance, then what do? You give them a drug. You give them, then you give them time to get over the drug. I
Yep.
think what's amazing is they don't even tell you they don't drug them.
Right.
They say, they don't even talk about the antibiotic, or I think maybe, do they say antibiotic free? It is antibiotic free, technically.
Yep.
USDA, FDA standards, look it up. If the creature was on antibiotics and has been alive and held from being processed during its withdrawal period, why
Yep.
don't y'all look up withdrawal period? Okay, y'all don't know what that is either. Look up
Exactly.
withdrawal period. If they wait for the withdrawal period, then it's okay for you to eat it. But it doesn't have antibiotics in its system according to some human beings tests that we don't even know if that test really works, because the human beings, we're flawed. We don't know what we're talking about. I mean, I don't know too many humans that live long enough to really know a whole lot. And so I rely on nature.
Mm-hmm.
You asked me why we started eating this way. I mean, we're going back to that question kind of, but I had to take you this big long way because these are all the things I think about. Like, I think about all these things, and then I can only try to tell you this many things, and then you only hear me say this many things. You know, have you
Yeah.
seen that diagram?
Oh, yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to get you guys where I was mentally to be able to make a decision about these things. Okay. So if I find out that this is what happens at a C.A.F.O, and that the process of medicating these creatures and then letting them have a withdrawal period is equivalent to them being antibiotic free,
Right.
really, that is not good enough for me.
Right.
It's probably fine for you, and that's okay. You should be free to choose and eat whatever you want if you know what you're eating, but you
Yeah.
don't. And so don't talk to me until you do, because you
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about. And
Yeah.
when you tell me that you can't medically know this, or you can't know this for a fact, well, I can. I'm not stupid, okay? I can know that they had antibiotics and now they don't have antibiotics in their system, but I don't think that they don't have antibiotics in their tissue. I don't believe that they don't they haven't gone through some type of interference. And also, I don't want to eat any animals that are less healthy than I am. If
Right.
they're as healthy as I am because I had to be on antibiotics, so then they should have been on antibiotics. I
Yep.
can't gain any life force from them. But if they're so healthy they never needed antibiotics, wow, what power! What power would they be able to offer me?
Yep.
Why would you want something? Why would you want to eat something that had medical interference?
Exactly. Exactly. So true.
That's the problem with CAFO meat, you asked me.
So Emily did okay with the meat for a year. Is that usually
Almost,
what you see?
almost. It was amazing that that happened to her on her 1 year carniversary.
Yes, it did. It was her celebration to get that meat. She was all excited about it. She did a video about it. So what's up with the year? Like,
I
how
don't know
does
what the deal. I don't know what the deal is about the year, but I will tell you that I have seen this repeatedly in thousands of people over the past 11 years.
that?
There's something about it that people can tolerate CAFO meat for up to a year, specifically if they go very meat heavy, like in the sense of keto or carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, they become chemically sensitive and they have a reaction. I cannot tell you how many parents I've met that say my kids won't eat meat, but then I get them on our regenerative meat and their kids will eat it, because
Wow.
their kids have a natural instinct within them that allows them to just know that this makes me feel good and this doesn't make me feel good. And some of them, it's hard to get them to try it because, they only know what their experience is. And if their experience left them with a tummy ache or whatever, then
Right.
you have to allow them an opportunity, to acclimate to that. And once they do, and they realize, oh, I can eat this and it doesn't make me feel like crap. Children don't have the ability to convey to you this information. And even when they do say that makes my tummy hurt, you don't
Exactly.
believe them.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
why don't you believe the kid when the child says that makes my tummy hurt? Why don't you believe them?
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing they know how to say. And then when they're younger, they don't even know how to do that. They only know how to throw it across the room.
Exactly. They're gonna let you know. Um, so what I really want to know about is this hot topic right now, the food shortage that everyone is losing their mind over. Specifically for people who are watching, who are worried about that, what can people actually do? Like, how can we empower them a little bit to, number one, not worry about the situation. Number two, or maybe they should worry about it. I don't know. I know it's a very loaded question, and I definitely want to.
Very loaded. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. You're like, oh, great. Where do I start? But, what can people do right now during this time?
I would say there's a lot of politics behind what's going on.
Yeah.
I would say that you should figure out the politics and follow the money behind what's going on. I would say this doesn't need to be happening. I would say that part of me is happy that the centralized food system's collapsing because I already knew it would, and it was always unstable, and now you can just kind of know that for a fact.
Yeah.
And people don't like it when I say that. People don't like it when I say, the solution is to develop a relationship with a farmer. And immediately, within 1 second, they start arguing for their limitations, arguing about how it's a pain in the ass, how they're not going to drive anywhere, how they're not going to do, or go hungry. What do I care? I mean, I don't understand. You can't get it because they're rationing stuff in the stores because they've shut down the main plants because how do you control a population?
Right.
How do you control a population? If they're fat, sick, and nearly dead, and then now you take away their food, which was anyway poison, but whatever, now what?
Exactly.
You didn't care about your health in the first place.
Right. So what we all really need to be doing right now is finding local farmers and supporting them, buying from them. I've made the decision since this whole thing has happened to only buy from farmers. We haven't been buying any meat, anything from grocery stores, which has been not really as hard as I thought it was going to be. People think it's this big impossible feat because we're so conditioned to go towards the convenience, go towards that easy, quicker thing. And it's like, it's not really that hard, you guys. Like what do you say to all of that?
I say, stop arguing for your limitations. How do you know something's hard until you try it? How do you know what's going to happen? And so, I always tell everybody, I'm like, well, how do you know?
Right.
How are you so confident in this?
Exactly.
How do you know it's unaffordable? Emily told me, look, Emily was on food stamps, as everyone well knows.
Yep.
Emily was living in a trailer. She was not in a financial position to just have power.
No.
And yet she was able to, on a dime, as needed, switch to regenerative and never look back. Ever.
Right.
What?
That's the crazy thing. Yeah. If Emily is on food stamps, I'm sure she doesn't mind us saying that because she's done a video about it, living in a trailer. Yeah. Right. She can work with a local farmer and get this food. Then why can't the rest of us do it? It's
not about money, Sarah. It's about priorities. Okay. Now let me just tell you guys one more thing. If you read my story, then you'll know that we were on food stamps. We were on one income. We were being ruined financially. Sarah should know all about that. If you have a child who's damaged or hurt, particularly vaccine injured, or any other way of medical malpractice injury, if they've experienced some malpractice injury, which they're all some kind of medical injury, then in those situations, we're financially pretty ruined.
Right.
All of it. Right. How are you affording to do it? We had nothing. Okay. And what did I do? I literally threw away everything in my house.
Yeah, I remember that part of your story with Tristan. It's like you just went through your whole kitchen and was like, everything's out. I
can't tell you that. I seriously opened every pantry door, cabinet, fridge, freezer, everything. And I threw everything in the garbage. Like, I literally did not keep anything. I didn't keep a seasoning. I didn't keep that Morton salt. Everybody's all like, well, we'll start using the good salt when this runs out. Right. I threw that mess out. I was like, oh, no. all the poison can just directly go in the garbage. And what I actually did was filled up my family room and my kitchen, Sarah. I filled it all up with every single thing from in the bathroom. If it was in the bathroom under the sink or in my bathroom, toothpaste, all that crap.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing I've done too, is like no more personal care products. Like, no. I mean,
You're right. Actually, guess what? We use everything from White Oak Pasture, their tallow products.
Oh, it's amazing. They have amazing stuff. You can get all your personal care products. My skin's actually never looked better. I get more compliments on my skin now than I ever did my whole life. I'm 40, and it's like I have better skin at 40 than I did at 30 and 20. From eating high fat, high quality animal fats and meats, and using tallow on my skin and hair.
Fat on the outside and fat on the inside. If you're just putting fat on the outside and on the inside, then your whole life changes so fast. I mean, it's amazing. I swear, like Meena, when we did lose Meena, when she died, then they tried to put us on narcotics. That's brilliant.
I had that whole conversation the other day. It's like when my daughter was diagnosed, they're immediately like, they give me the anti-anxiety medication, and I got heavily addicted to those benzodiazepine because I was just, you were smart enough to turn that stuff down. I was so vulnerable.
Girl, that was after. Okay, so when my son was born, then I had a very difficult labor. I was having contractions for 5 weeks. So when he was born, they gave me a prescription, and Rohit didn't know. My husband filled all the prescriptions the doctor said, because he just thought this is what happens when you have a baby. Yeah. So he's just following all the, whatever the guy gave him, he did it, right?
Right.
And then he's telling me I need to do this, and he's giving me instructions. I don't know why I need it, because I'm not in pain. I'm not uncomfortable. Like, there's nothing wrong. But I'm just doing whatever because we're trying to do a good job. We want to be very good parents, know? And my mom came over here because at that time, I was acting crazy. Okay. And my mom and my mother-in-law were here because, we had a new baby. And so they were over here. My mom's like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. And I said, I don't know. There's my medical chart. Why don't you look at it? So she did. She said, are you taking all this stuff? Yeah. And I go, I don't know, because I literally couldn't remember if I was doing it. And then she asked Rohit, she goes, what is she doing? Is she doing all this? He goes, yeah. He goes, I give her the medicine. And she said, she took the bottle and threw it away. She said, you cannot give her narcotics. She can't know what the hell's going on. She said, no wonder she's acting out of her mind. She doesn't know what the hell's happening. Who has a baby and then just sleeps and acts crazy? She was like,
you can't do that. You can't.
Oh, yeah. It was so crazy. And so after that, I was terrified of anything that a physician ever gave me.
Oh, yeah.
And so thank God for that experience. Otherwise, I probably would have taken the narcotics. I mean, I don't know what I would have done. I would have been following doctor's orders because we would have just been trying to do a good job, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, man, I feel like you and I could talk forever, and we're definitely going to come back and talk more about different topics. Like, I feel like we could start our own podcast pretty much.
Right. I will say this. I want to finish answering the one question.
Yes.
About the solutionary thing. Okay. So I think that you should definitely try to find somebody regenerative that you can establish a relationship with.
Yes.
I think that you'd be surprised at who you'd find. I think that until you go through that exercise, you shouldn't decide how hard or how easy it is. I think it's not a very fair statement.
Yep.
I also think that if you did have to drive 40 minutes to make sure you have food versus not have food,
yes,
I don't know, you're going to have to decide what that priority is, because this entire situation is between you and you. It has nothing to do with me. I don't care. I know that we don't have to worry about nothing. I know we have food. I know that we're always going to have food. I know that if every grocery store closed tomorrow, I don't care. Because I'm not going to go hungry, and my kids aren't either. Exactly. Do you know that?
Oh, yeah. I do, but I don't know about people watching.
Yeah. That's what you should be trying to figure out is, are you going to go hungry? And I just don't know how many bags of grains and beans that you can store that are going to keep you alive and not give you the anxiety to be able to even stay in your house all day with your kids. But
Exactly. Exactly.
I can't eat grains and beans and be home and locked
I
up. So
cannot. I definitely cannot. Off the table. Out of the question. Been
not
there.
an option. Not an option.
Nope. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. I am definitely going to link your book. You have a YouTube channel, Instagram. You are also a MeetRx coach, so people can work with you in that capacity. And I know you also offer help for, people can
Yeah.
pay you to help them find a farmer. If it's really like that hard, you have the resources and the knowledge to connect people with those resources. So I'm going to list all the information so anybody watching can contact you, and you guys stay tuned. I will definitely be having Niti back on my channel. Yeah, she's amazing. So thank you so much.
You're amazing, and I appreciate you so much. And thank you very much. I really, really enjoy all your videos and all your work. And I just love having another mom as a
Yes,
friend who can
yes,
understand.
amazing.
Thank you for that.
You all right.
Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you like it, please share it with all your friends. And if you are interested in knowing my story or learning about the nonprofit work that I do, then please read my book. I'll make sure that there's a link in the notes. And while you're at our website, then you could become a sustainer and help support regenerative agriculture. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.